Wait, we forgot the most important part of Passover. Where's the lamb? It's the same thing Isaac asked his father. Remember Genesis 22? God asked Abraham to take his only beloved son on Mount Moriah, exactly the same place the temple was to be built on.
It might seem like the story of Abraham's binding of Isaac is out of place in a Passover narrative, but our forefathers had a different perspective. The book of Jubilees, a Jewish book written in the 2nd century BC, traces this pivotal event to the day of Passover. In fact, this book attributes much of the memorial of Passover Day not to the Exodus, but to the story of Abraham and Isaac.
Not only that, the great sages perceived great messianic significance in Abraham and Isaac's great test. As Abraham took the donkey in verse 3, Malbim, which was a Jewish commentator from the 19th century, insisted that this donkey was prepared for the Messiah. To prove this point, the Zohar even quotes Zechariah 9:9 in reference to this verse, "Your king will come lowly, riding on a donkey."
Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son, Isaac. And he himself carried the fire and the knife. It's here in this section that the rabbi sees something very interesting. They described in this scene that Isaac was like a man carrying his cross.
In verse 7, Isaac was asking his father the same question we asked in the beginning. He said, "Abba, where is the lamb?" Abraham responded that God will reveal the lamb.
As we read in verse 9, Abraham is tying Isaac to the altar. In the rabbinic commentary, Midrash Tanchuma, they said, Isaac asked his father to bind him tightly so he wouldn't break a bone, so he would be a fit sacrifice for our people. This is a clear allusion to Exodus 12:46, where God commands not a bone of the Passover lamb could be broken. All of this culminates with God's intervention. According to rabbinic commentary and the Jewish book of Jubilees, the one sent to stop Abraham was, and I quote, Yeshua, the angel of his face. This wonderful angel, according to the book, stopped Abraham from sacrificing his son and provided a ram in his stead.
But we're still looking for the lamb. It's clear that the sages of old saw this Akedah passage as a reference to the story and sacrifice of the Passover lamb. As the ram took the place of Isaac, the blood of the lamb redeemed the firstborn in Egypt. God saw the blood of the Passover lamb and saved Israel's firstborn.
The Passover lamb may have been the final blow that released our people from the clutches of Pharaoh. But as we read on, the promised lamb of the Messiah, as Isaiah 53 describes, will do more than release us from Egypt, but deliver us from sin and death.
But this all sounds a bit familiar, right? It was first John the Baptist that proclaimed this truth plainly. He saw Yeshua as a fulfillment of this promise, as he shouts out, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world."
Just as Abraham saddled his donkey on his way to Mount Moriah, Yeshua entered Jerusalem riding on a donkey. Like the rabbis saw with Abraham, Yeshua's disciples also saw the fulfillment of Zechariah 9:9, as Matthew 21 says. All this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, "Tell the daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming to you, lowly and sitting on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey."
Just as Isaac carried the wood that the rabbis surprisingly compared to Isaac's cross, so Yeshua carried the wooden cross, ascending the hill, just like Isaac in the city of Jerusalem.
It was on the same date of Passover, riding on a donkey, carrying the cross, in the same mountain Isaac and Abraham ascended, that Yeshua himself completed this sacrifice. Yeshua, many times referred to as the angel of the Lord, didn't stop the spear that pierced his side. Driven by his love for us, he became the holy sacrifice, and as Isaiah prophesied, bore the sins of many. And just as Exodus 12:46 states, so the eyewitnesses state that not a bone of his was broken on the cross. He was a fit sacrifice for the sins of our people.
In the Exodus story, it's clear that God took Israel out of Egypt, but he didn't take Egypt, the sin, out of our forefathers' hearts. As history goes on, we see clearly there needed to be a greater redemption to come. The sacrificed lamb of Exodus and the sacrifice of bulls and goats couldn't deliver and didn't take the sins of Israel, let alone the sins of the world. That's why our prophets, like Isaiah, talked about a new Exodus, a second Moses, and this is where the lamb shows up again.
So who has believed our report? As Isaiah states so clearly, this Messiah would be rejected, just like Moses, just like David, just like Joseph. But a remnant would have eyes to see.
He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. The key point here is the text clearly says in Hebrew like, the lamb. Isaiah is referring to the Passover lamb as he describes the suffering servant.
So is the lamb at your table this Passover? At the end of our Passover Seder in every home, our kids run to the door to look for Elijah, the forerunner of the Messiah. But this year, instead of looking for Elijah, open your heart to the Lamb of God, Yeshua the Messiah. As he said, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, then I will enter his house and dine with him, and he with me. We wish you a blessed Passover and happy Resurrection Day.